Hello everybody, Justin Dunn here, American Mustang School, and I've got a whiskey on my left and peso on my right, and these guys are going to help me do a show for you today. This show will be on law of rhythm, and are you going to photobomb? Yeah, good job. Law of rhythm, and the purpose is for character development. You know, whatever we're thinking, we're probably saying. Whatever we're saying, we're probably doing. Whatever we're doing, we're becoming. And that's our character. We want to intentionally develop our character, manifest it into a reality, create the life we want. That's the purpose. You know, are you curious about this? I definitely am, and that's why I wanted to bring you this show. I actually make these videos for myself, and if it's something that you can benefit from, all the better. You know, horses, they're the best accountability partner that I've ever found in helping me develop conscious awareness. It's the skill that all of us need to develop in this life. You know, you got to kind of ask yourself, what is nature? You know, what secrets in nature are there to discover? What's nature keeping from me, and why? Horses have allowed me to learn these, understand them, develop them, and over the last 20 years, practice them and implement them into my life to become a better person and help others become better people and just enhance the overall experience we call life. You know, having an accountability partner like this, you know, he's a comedian most of the time and he's serious, you know, one end of the spectrum to the other. So it's kind of cool. You know, everything has rhythm. You know, him scratching his head on my body is a rhythm. You know, if he was doing it fast and violently, you know, he'd be agitated or something. Or if he was doing it really, really lazily, like he didn't feel good or something. You know, the changes in rhythm are information nature is giving us to understand better, experience better. And everything has rhythm. It's a repeating pattern in nature. And it's kind of like, well, why do I need to know this? Well, to better understand the game, you know, the game of life, how to not get hurt, and how to benefit. All areas of our life, health, wealth, relationships, spirituality, happiness, they all have a rhythm. When they're in a rhythm, you can recognize it. When they get out of rhythm, you recognize it. So it's some examples of rhythm. You know, there's really obvious ones, you know, night and day, you know, light and dark, the waves coming in on an ocean in a rhythm. You know, those are some rhythm examples, you know, repeated patterns in nature of rhythm. So what is it in ourselves that is rhythmic? You know, the breathing, a heartbeat, walking. Well, how you walk is a rhythm. You know, running, obviously, in a rhythm. You know, how you brush a horse, you know, those are rhythmic. And I teach horsemanship, so I'm going to relate a lot of this to what I've learned and shared in horses. You know, horses understand rhythm. Those are patterns they recognize in a human presenting to them. You know, they observe that, perceive information from the human and understand, okay, the rhythm changed in the human, something changed. Or this is a normal rhythm, this is an abnormal rhythm. And they can gather information like that through their five senses. Well, there's even some more depth to this. And if you've read my book, you'll understand what I'm talking about. What you think has rhythm. Your thoughts are rhythmic. Incoherent, chaotic, fast thoughts, you know, they'll present something to the horse. And he loves to photobomb. So I'm going to ask him to back up. Go ahead and back up. Okay, let's back up a couple of steps so we can get some room here. And good job. And then we'll rub him to a stop. So even wiggling that rope is rhythmic. And scale of 1 to 10, if I start soft in a rhythm of a 1 and increase the intensity of the rhythm to a 2 to a 3, he'll understand, oh, this is increasing in rhythm, intensity, speed. You know, it's a formula. I should probably move backwards. And that's how they learn. That's how they experience this relationship, gather information, and we can develop a understanding, keep it in a rhythm that is comfortable, and create what it is we expect. And it's like that in the microcosm of horsemanship and macro in the world. So breathing, we talked about that, touched on that. Your thoughts can affect the rhythm of your breathing. You can worry yourself sick if you've ever heard that before. So if this horse is restrictive in thought, say he's confused, he has doubt, he has anxiety, his breathing could change. That's an outward reflection of his inner thoughts to me. Well, vice versa. I could be thinking that same restrictive way, creating a rhythm imbalance, we'll call it, of breathing and heart rate, muscle tension. All these are outward reflections to the horse that, hey, something definitely is going on. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this. Relationships, it's everything. Relationships are going to, understanding this rhythm are going to help your relationships grow stronger, whatever it is. If it's a relationship with a horse, a human, the ground you walk on, the air you breathe, all of those things, rhythm is really important in the formula. So if you're centered, we want to call something centered or off-centered, polarizing positive or negative, it's easier to recognize with rhythm. So if our relationship is in a positive, going forward, desirable manner, rhythm has a big part of that because he harmonizes with the rhythm, which is agrees. He agrees with the rhythm of things. When I went and gathered these guys a minute ago, they were in a restful state, peaceful, calm, standing there, swishing their tails in rhythm at flies, or maybe it's just a relaxing rhythm that they do even when there's not flies, because there's not a lot of flies today. But I was watching them before I went to gather them because I think about what I'm going to present to them. Do I want to bring that rhythm that they're in up, down, keep it the same? Those are questions you have to ask in order to develop a relationship with an accountability partner like a horse, because they're going to bring into your perspective what you're thinking, what you're feeling through emotion, what your attitude is, and ultimately your actions. So I want to ask him to back up again because he's kind of a wheel worm. So I'll just start soft and in rhythmic motion, ask him to back those hooves. I'll increase the intensity of the rhythm and then release all as a thank you to a stop. And then I can follow it with a rub, to kind of give an affirmation. Yeah, good job, buddy. You did what I asked you. So it's no interruption in that rhythm of the state that they were in when I went and got them. They were in a calm, quiet state of mind, body, spirit. I'm going to, in the relationship, have an effect on that, cause and effect. We talked about that in earlier videos. But understanding rhythm of things, I want it to flow sustainably for a long time in what we call flow state. So, in other words, if it's too fast or too slow, the harmony or agreement, the balance gets off. Flow state is skill, experience, and a challenge. So the challenge we could describe was making this video for you. I had to prepare, I had to take notes, I had to think, I had to go get the horses, and then maintain a rhythm in all of that was desirable so that we could make the best efficient, effective presentation. Well, think about that in all things, in all your areas of life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, your happiness, your spirituality, all of the things, main areas of our lives that we need to intentionally pay attention to and develop a conscious awareness for. Rhythm plays a part. It interconnects in all of those, as do all of the laws. They are formula again. So it's one of those things when you ascend consciously, rhythm becomes understood and how important it is. It's kind of one of those things, as you go down the path, you got to start. You got to start down a path. And when you start down that path, the path becomes clearer. It's getting more understood. So any changes in the path, so if it's rhythmic, you're walking down a path and then something changes and the rhythm changes and you have to run down the path. Those help you to understand that rhythm plays a very important role in developing conscious awareness and manifesting it into a reality to have long-term sustainability in the life that you want to lead. These guys understand rhythm. I understand rhythm in a relationship. When I make a change, intentionally, consciously make a change, they recognize that. It's like, oh, there's something different. Then they can adapt or correspond to that effectively and efficiently to sustain all of the relationship that we really desire. but to sustain all of the things that are important to them. You know, their energy, their breathing, their heart rate, all of that. They want to long-term sustain, you know, for effective survival, really, but for a comfortable life. You know, if he was in a state of panic in his mind, and he sent that tension through his body, that's uncomfortable. So we want to help him develop an understanding in this relationship that I will present to him what I expect from him. So that's a very important phrase, present what you expect. I live by that. I should make a t-shirt, present what you expect in all things. What rhythm do you want in life? Do you want a harmonious, calm flow state, or do you want an erratic, chaotic, non-flow state? Rhythm has a big part of that. So in 5-part series, if you've read my book, you'll understand what 5-part series is. It's a series of 5 questions that I'll ask any and every horse to get a deeper understanding of that individual horse, because these two guys are dynamically different. As you can see, Whiskey's a statue, Peso's a wiggle worm. But that's okay, that's who they are. So in 5-part series, I get to dive deep within this relationship and discover this individual on a deeper level. He gets to discover me on a deeper level. But the beautiful part about 5-part series, and I'm here to tell you guys, if you're watching this far into the video, this is a sacred art of horsemanship. I am so blessed to be able to be sharing this information with you, and for which I have experienced. The sacred art of horsemanship is just that. It's like not widely known. Where do you get it? Well, you got to experience it through horsemanship. It is one of those things that is revealed to you, unique to you, in the time that you need it. And I'm just here to help you kind of see in a broader picture, to narrow it down and go into that with a deeper understanding that you are there to develop the horse and yourself. But what you'll see in 5-part series is that you get a deeper understanding of yourself. Horse gets a deeper understanding of themselves. So it's just this feedback loop of information on a micro level, we could call it, that helps both of us in the macro, in nature, in life. So I bring them into the human element. I help guide and coach and observe them in the human element to help them be comfortable and ascend in consciousness. And then when I'm on their back or with them and we ride in nature, they help me the same way, ascend in higher level of consciousness. Harmonize, align with nature. The only business that will never fail, nature. Everything else temporary, not sustainable. It's chaotic and incoherent most of the time. All the institutions that we've been subjected to, programmed and conditioned for, they won't be here in probably another 100 years. But it's kind of one of those things where if it's in rhythm and harmony and balance and flow state, it'll sustain forever. And that's nature. And we are nature. We've got to align with nature. Course correct, if you will. Get a new perspective. Gain a new perception. And embrace it. They're all important. 360-degree view of one thing. And then you can look at that one thing and 360-degree view of it. So in other words, all the perspectives of this horse, I can look at from a 360-degree view. And then once I make a decision, look at that 360-degree view. So it's infinite, in other words. There's just so many perspectives and so many new things to explore. It's not like a linear pathway. It's so dynamic and so tough to explain. But when you experience it, you start to gather information that you otherwise would not be able to. And understanding these laws of nature is how I did it. However, I didn't know exactly how to explain it until I started making these videos and really reading into, okay, law of rhythm. Oh man, I learned that. I lived it. I practiced it. I breathed it. My heart felt it. My brain felt it. My body, my spirit felt it. And it's a true, real, live, honest experience that will sustain and create desirable results for you, for your horse, for everyone around you, and create the life that you desire to live. You know, again, it's flow state in all areas. It's not forced or taken. That's the most important part. It's gradual too. So it's one of those things that I explained it this way to my daughter the other day. She's like, I want to learn this, but I want to do it fast, and I want to do this and that, and I'm behind, and other people, and it's like, oh, okay, just slow down, check this out. Pay attention to it for 18 minutes today. Don't think about anything else. Like, in other words, I want to get better at horsemanship. I'm going to think about this for 18 minutes, solid. I'm going to do a 5-part series with my horse for 18 minutes. Go ahead and back that foot up. I'm going to get your rope. 18 minutes a day, compound that by 5 days. You're going to get into rhythm. You're going to get into flow state. You're going to learn a skill. You're going to get experience. The challenge is going to become easy. You may have to work hard at doing this. You know, prioritize 18 minutes to do 5-part series with your horse. But the compounding effect is going to pay in dividends. So that 5-part series, you know, if you've read my book, you understand what 5-part series is. And if you haven't read my book, you should probably read my book. I built a house in that, and I talk about it in the book. I built 3, but I built a house, took 15 months to build it, and it's kind of like, wow, you've got to learn all these laws of nature to effectively and efficiently succeed. You know, compilation of a formula to successfully succeed in building a house from dirt, like we're standing on, to living in a house, and lived in it for 10 years. So it's kind of cool. But it's like, or train a horse, you know, it might take 15 months, wild, untouched Mustang horse, out of nature. I've got to introduce myself to him. I've got to establish these laws of nature. The law of rhythm was so important because it's long-term sustainability. It's not a, well, I'm going to train you today and you're done. No, it's a gradual, daily process, weekly, monthly, yearly, and it's a give and receive. I'm going to present what I expect. Give, receive, flow state, feedback loop. I'm going to present to him, observe feedback, make changes in me, present again, and then continue this. And then he does the same thing in the same way. So it's a non-incoherent, chaotic relationship. It is a stable relationship. It is a grounded, honest and true relationship. It is in rhythm. So if a horse is tense, I'm going to help him relax. Even in doing that, there's a rhythm to it. So it's like each engagement on a scale, on a pendulum, he's swinging over to tension, and he's swinging over into restriction in the mind. He's not comfortable. Well, I've got to swing it back over to the centers where I'd like it to be. You know, swing it back over to very comfortable and relax, and then bring it back and keep centered. And then the pendulum doesn't swing so far, so the rhythm is nice and easy. It's not like, wow, and then it's just wild swings. It's stable. You know, it's funny, we're standing in a barn next to what we would call a stable. Horses are stable. They help us become stable. You know, the horse that is open, that's a good thing, and that's going to help expansion of information. A horse that is closed, that's a contraction, and that's not going to help us. But I want you to know that it's okay. It's not a good or bad label. It's a recognition. What rhythm, understanding the law of rhythm, what rhythm are we using? Is it too fast, too soon? Is it too slow, too long? Is it bored? We've got to find that out. We've got to get into that flow state. Again, it's gradual. And all of my horses understand everything that I do based on rhythm. You know, if I'm going to ask him to back up, I'm going to apply some rhythmic wiggle in this rope. And I'm going to increase the rhythm. I always say pressure, but it's rhythm. You know, the rhythm is really fast. And then he backs up. And then I can create draw with the rope. You know, I can pick up the rope and I can rhythmically ask him to come to me. And then ground tie, rub him to a stop. And then wash, rinse, repeat in a rhythm. Now if I speed it up, you know, I'll give you a little example. I just go hot and heavy, hey, back up. And then I say, oh wait, come here, I changed my mind. Come here. And then relax. See how he noticed a change in rhythm. Nice big deep breath. That's a trigger body responsive relaxation. We've done enough together to know that he knows, I know, when the rhythm changes, it's important. Something's happening. When the rhythm is stable, not much is happening. If I'm on his back and the rhythm is in flow state, not much is happening. We walk out into the street, but a car's coming, and I change the rhythm. You know, my thoughts come, the rhythm changed in my thought, the rhythm changed in my emotion, my attitude, my action. Ultimately, saying that is so slow compared to actually experiencing it. But something came up, and I rhythmically start bumping on the rein, bumping on a leg, get out of the street. He'll notice the change in rhythm. You know, one of the incoherent, chaotic rhythms that happen is when people don't think inward and then present outward. So chaos and disorder and incoherent information will happen. Now, it can work, but it's not long-term sustainable. It's going to repel. It's like a storm. Like, think of a storm in the ocean. So I was a deep sea fisherman for a long time. And going offshore, you've got waves, and they're in rhythm. So you set your speed on your boat to be the most comfortable and make the most efficient time cutting into the waves. And you know, if you have wave knowledge, you'll understand, you know, different waves do different things. So just as a simple explanation, you know, waves are coming in a pretty steady rhythm at a pretty steady wave height. So you're going to set your throttles and you're going to go for long-term sustainability. Now, on those same waves, if I increase speed, I could break my boat apart, you know, essentially, or it'd just be very uncomfortable, and you know, so breaking stuff and stuff's flying off where it's supposed to be, gear adrift, and it's just not good. So like a storm will create that scenario. You know, we're out fishing and a storm blows in, and the seas are rough, the wind's blowing, the rain, you can't see, visibility changed. All those rhythms were upset, they're incoherent, they're chaotic. But then the storm subsides and it gets back into rhythm, and then it's long-term sustainable. So we do that in our mind, guys. I wrote in the book, you know, everyone's going, they're either going into a storm, they're in a storm, or they're coming out of a storm. And what that means is their mind is either in chaos and shambles, something happened in life, you know, loss of a loved one, loss of a friend. I just lost a friend, and I'm going through that myself. The rhythm changed whenever I found that out. And it's kind of one of those things that when we're in rhythm and we practice being in rhythm, and then life throws something at us, we'll call it, the rhythm is upset. Well, it's really easy to feel that and then realize how to go back to rhythm. And then sometimes you can control chaos. You can control incoherent rhythms. You know, you can cry, you can get emotionally distraught, you can throw things, you can be like, I'm in control of this and I need to do this. My body needs a release. I want this to happen. I'm going to go through this storm, but I know on the other side of this, I'm going to stabilize and get back in rhythm and it'll be fine. That's important. Why? Because it helps you benefit. It helps you to not get hurt. Understanding law of rhythm is very important. I watch these guys, they understand it probably better than I'm explaining it. Be neat if I could say, hey, Peso, explain law of rhythm to them, because I know you know it. But it's one of those things, they'll go through it. You know, they'll get into a little chaotic, incoherent rhythm, and their body needed to do it. You know, it's release of tension, it's release, it's expansion, it's not contraction and hold. Rhythms help us stabilize, they help us center. And if you'll just consciously develop an awareness to it, you can understand that even in something simple as your short, shallow breathing, whenever you're concentrating on something, it's like, my body just started contracting and just started short, shallow breathing. You know, 60, 70 breaths a minute. I need to stabilize this, or I need to go through this. I need to go ahead and go through this and just monitor it, observe it. And then, okay, take a deep breath. Let's expand. Let's relax. And then you will have long-term sustainability in whatever you're doing. I'm telling you this because I know this. I don't just know about it, I know it. I've been on the back of wild Mustang horses. It's happened to me. But having that power, that conscious awareness, and manifesting it into reality, you've got to do it. You got to practice it. You got to experience it so you know you can do it. You're going to be perfect at it in the beginning? No. Are you going to be perfect at it ever? Probably not. However, understanding that, you will gain a knowledge, get your own power from nature that's ready to give it to you. You'll stop suffering. You'll release your pain. And you'll attract the life that you deserve to live, because that's the laws of nature. Never let anyone else tell you different. I promise you, and I will make this promise as I stand here, because I'm going to watch this video back for myself. I promise you, if you learn these laws of nature, implement them into your life, get you an accountability partner that is nature. Doesn't have to be a horse, but I practice with horses. And just feel it, experience it, realize it for yourself, that rhythm is a part of the formula for success, of successful life, a successful experience. And when it manifests, and you understand that, wow, it has manifested into a reality, you will harmonize, which is agree with nature, and it'll agree with you, and it'll harmonize with you. And you'll have the best life you could ever imagine. I'm Justin Dunn. If you need any other information, comment in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do. Bye-bye.